So this is the end of the Chapter 2 practice test. Questions 5 are adding or subtracting. They're all adding on this page because those are a little bit easier, but they can be subtracting on the test. The first two problems are addition problems, but I have common denominators, so I don't need to do anything but make the two fractions into one. The bottom problem, I don't have a common denominator, so I'm going to need to factor the denominators and get the denominators the same. The first problem, I'm just going to write the two numerators together in a fraction. I'm going to factor out the common factor of 3 in my numerator. And then I'm going to cancel the x plus 6's. My answer won't need to be a fraction because I've canceled everything in the denominator. The answer to 5a is just the number 3. In part B of number 5, the fractions have the same denominator, so I'm allowed just to make the two fractions into one without doing any factoring or rewriting. They're just ready to go. After I make the two fractions have the same into one, combine like terms in the numerator, the minus 5 plus 16 is going to be 11. So my numerator is going to be 2x plus 11. That doesn't factor like the numerator in 5a. And a 2x plus 11 can only cancel with a 2x plus 11. And x plus 3 can only cancel with an x plus 3. I can't cancel the x's here. That's just the answer. 5c is a mess. I need to factor all the denominators. I factor them off to the side. So I'm going to factor for part C. I'm going to factor x squared plus 6x plus 5. I'm looking for numbers that multiply to 5 and add to 6. That's going to be 5 and 1. Those multiply to 5 and add to 6. So that factors into x plus 5 times x plus 1. I'm not going to write this down yet because I want to write the common factor first in my denominators. So I'm going to factor x squared plus 3x plus 2, looking for numbers that multiply to 2 and add to 3, and that's 2 and 1. That's going to factor into x plus 2 and x plus 1. When I write my denominators down, I'm going to write the common factor first. So in both of them, I'm going to write the x plus 1's first. And in the right denominator, I'm going to leave a hole. In the left denominator, I just write the terms next to each other. So my fraction version of this factored is going to be 2 over first fraction x plus 1 times x plus 5, common factor first, no hole in the first denominator. My second fraction, the denominator is going to be x plus 1 whole x plus 2. I always write the common factor first, leave a hole in the second denominator. And now I'm going to fill the holes in the second denominator and finish the first fraction. The first fraction, I'm going to give it the end part of the second fraction. And the second fraction, I'm going to give it the middle part of the first fraction. I can't cancel the fractions because I don't have an equal sign. But now my two fractions have the same denominator, so I can write the numerators together. I get 2 times x plus 2 plus 3 times x plus 5. Usually I would just write LCD, but I'll do more here. This is over x plus 1 times x plus 5 times x plus 2. I need to simplify the numerators. I'm going to go 2 times x is 2x for the first parentheses. 2 times 2 is plus 4 for the ending the first parentheses. 3 times x is 3x. 3 times 5 is 15. And because this isn't going to be my answer, I'm not going to write all 3 parentheses down. I'm just going to write least common denominator. Now in the numerator, I'm going to combine the 2x and 3x and get 5x. I'm going to combine the 4 and the 15 and get 19. There's no factoring that can happen there. 5x plus 19 would only cancel if there's another 5x plus 19 in the denominator. Nothing in the denominator factors. Numerator doesn't factor. This just doesn't reduce. Mostly when I have to create common denominators, the fraction that I create is not a reducible fraction. I believe that's an answer for problem 5C. So just have the 2 word problems left. We have to create the boxes. And I have 2 word problems, the fast person, slow person word problem. And in these, I need 2 answers. And only one of the rate boxes gets a sign. When I get to the boat problems, I'm going to need 1 answer and both rate boxes will get a sign. So I remember these boxes well enough. I just did this video. In the fast person, slow person, either walking, running, biking, I make a line for the fast person, a line for the slow person. I make it how far they go, what their speed is, and their time is going to be distance over rate. So first sentence helps me get the rate box. I see the word slower, so I think I'm a minus. One person runs 2 miles per hour slower than the other. Only one rate box gets the sign. If the word is slower, the slower person gets a minus sign. If this word was faster, the fast person would get the plus sign. So for me, x is going to be the fast person speed, and I'm going to have to subtract 2 to get the slow person speed. The algebra, when I get through with my algebra, it's only going to give me 1 answer. It's going to be the fast person speed. I'm going to have to subtract 2 to get the slow person's. Done with the first sentence, move on to the second. The faster person can run 15 miles in the same time the slower runner can do 9. So 15 for the fast person speed, 9 for the slowers. I'm using time is distance divided by rate. So I'm creating the time boxes. And because it says they run for the same amount of time, I set the time boxes equal to each other. So I'm going to set the time box of 15 over x equal to the time box of 9 over x minus 2. Cross multiply, it doesn't matter which direction you cross multiply. I need to cross multiply down and cross multiply up. Clear my parentheses and get 15x minus 30 on the left hand side. Going 15 times x and 15 times minus 2. I shouldn't be factoring and setting it equal to 0 because there's not a square. A minus 15x from both sides and get minus 30 equals to minus 6x. Divide by minus 6, divide by minus 6, and I get 5 equal to x. That's the fast person running a 12-minute mile. So the fast person speed is 5 miles per hour. I need to subtract 2 to get the slow person speed of 3 miles per hour. So just one more problem left. It's the boat problem. And in the world of the boat problems, I get 1 answer because in the boat problem there's a river and there's a boat. I know one of the speeds, I need to find the other, but both the rate boxes get assigned. So the big difference between these word problems is the rate box and the number of answers. So as I realize this is a boat problem, for my boat problems I always make the same box. I have a distance box, a distance column, a rate column, and a time column, which is distance over rate. The box isn't given to you on the test, so I didn't put it on this. And then the boat goes in two directions. It doesn't matter. One direction is downstream against with the current or upstream against the current. I can just go do with and against or up and down. It doesn't matter, just so you know where the plus goes and where the minus goes in the rate box, because the rate boxes for the boat problems both have a sign. The with the current, it's boat plus current speed. Against the current, it's boat minus current speed. So in this particular problem, both rate boxes get a sign, unlike the fast person, slow person, that only one rate box get a sign. And the other big difference is I only get one answer. In the last problem, there were two runners. I didn't know either one of their speeds. In this problem, there's a boat and a river, and I know one of the speeds. I just need to find the other. First sentence gives me the distances. The first distance is how far the boat goes against the current. The second distance of 45 is how far the boat goes with the current. So with the current, the distance is 45 miles. Against the current, it's 15 miles. The second sentence gives me the number for the rate box. If it's a boat speed, it goes before the sign. If it's a current speed, it goes after the sign. And because the number in the second sentence is a current speed, it's going to go after the sign. If the number in the second sentence was a boat speed, it would go before the sign. So what I'm trying to find here is B is the boat speed. If there wasn't a river, it's boat speed in still water without the river. Basically done. Just need to do the algebra and set up the time box. The time box I just divide, distance divided by rate. And in every one of these word problems, somewheres in it, it says that it goes for the same amount of time in both directions. That allows me to just set the time boxes equal to each other. I'm going to cross multiply both directions. One direction is going to give me 45 times b minus 5. The other direction, 15 times b plus 5. On the left-hand side, I don't need any help from the 45 times b, but 45 times minus 5, I should get minus 225. On the right-hand side, I multiply 15 times b and 15 times 5. And now I need to get the letters on one side, the numbers on the other. So I'm going to minus 15b to get the letters on the normal left side. That's going to give me 30b minus 225 equals 75. And then I'm going to add 225. That'll give me 30b equals to 300. And then I'm going to divide. And that's the only answer I need. That's the boat speed. I'm going to tack on some words. Maybe the boat is 10 miles per hour. I could say the boat speed in still water is 10 miles per hour. It's technically going 15 miles per hour with the current and 5 miles per hour against the current, but that's not what's asked for. It's asked for independent of the river, how fast the boat is going. So that should be everything. If you can do all the problems on the practice test, you should be perfect on the test. I think this practice test is essentially a duplicate in terms of the length. It has exactly the same number of problems as the test.